morning. I will have you a short overview about privileged activity monitoring. So let's start the session. So new tendencies like hybrid cloud and bring your own device are not only trends, but mean serious threats as well. What we product is data, but nowadays our data is not stored within our perimeter anymore, but is stored outside of our assets, which is a significant source for threats. Probably the most serious threat nowadays is APT attacks. The question is not anymore whether we get hacked, the question is when we get hacked. The evidence of the previous statements is in front of our eyes. We hear about security breaches reported in the news day by day. So probably all of us have heard about Target stolen credit and debit card information or eBay's compromised employee login credentials. The other very serious threat nowadays is super user fraud, which is also in focus of several analyst companies. So let me highlight some important facts about super user fraud from Verizon. First of all, it's a shocking fact that only 1% of security incidents are discovered through logs. 88% of security breaches are done by privilege abuse, and 71% of malicious actions are done via local access. So looking back to APT attacks, it seems evident that stealing someone's privileged user's credentials is probably the easiest way to access data. But who these super users can be? They can be your own IT staff, your managers with top privileges, or your IT outsourcing partners. They all have unlimited and uncontrolled access to your network. They can access your data centers with sensitive information, with financial data, credit card information, or research and development data. But actually, what can we do? Employing traditional methods like log management or written company policies is not sufficient, because it cannot answer the question of who did what. And this can often lead to accusations along with the time and money wasted on investigating those incidents. So, as a conclusion, we need a solution to take a look over the shoulder of the malicious administrator. So BalaBit realized this problem and came up with a solution. This is Shell Control Box, an enterprise-level activity monitoring appliance that prevents harmful actions instead of just simply recording and reporting them. So it is an appliance which controls privileged user activity in remote servers and networking devices. It prevents malicious actions. It records activities into searchable movie-like audit trails, and it reports those actions for compliance and decision support reasons. But actually, what makes this solution different on the market? First of all, it is a multi-protocol tool. It is independent from operation systems. It is a flexible man-in-the-middle solution, so you do not need to make significant modifications in your network. It is also agentless, and because of that, the deployment is very fast and easy. After it is deployed, it works like a black box of an airplane, and you do not need significant modifications in your workload. So Shell Control Box also ensures strict control in your network. Embedded protocols and transferred files can be controlled as well. To avoid accidental misconfiguration and other human errors, it supports the 4 eyes authorization principle. To explain it in a few words, it looks like that an authorizer is required to allow all administrators to access the server. And once it is allowed, the administrator has also the authorizer has the possibility to follow the real-time the administrator actions, just like they were watching the same screen. So this allows the real-time prevention of risky action together with real-time blocking and alerting. Share Control Box is also a leading solution in session recording and auditing. It uses the OCR capability, which stands for Optical Character Recognition. So with this, Share Control Box can record all actions done by privileged user on graphical user interfaces. SCB produces searchable movie-like audit trails. These audit trails are timestamped, digitally signed and encrypted. This extreme level of data security makes SCB compliant with the strictest national and international compliance laws and regulations. Also, these audit trails are searchable. This allows free text search, which making it easy to find the relevant information, which is very useful in forensic situations, and it can fasten up the process. But let's take a closer look actually which clients and which companies are using this solution. So here you can see an overview about our public reference clients. You can see here many names, and it seems apparent that this solution is particularly popular among telecommunication and financial companies because security has extreme relevance in these sectors. And I also brought you some examples so that you can see how this solution works in real life. So let's take a closer look at the first example. It's Bouygues Telecom, a large telecommunication company from France. So which challenges did they face? This operator has more than 80,000 network devices. And as part of their Jumpos project, they wanted to implement policy management for all their privileged accounts. And they also needed to centralize and control administrative access and to secure shared accounts on this critical system. So what was the solution for them? It was to tracing the administrative access to 18,000 network devices. This is a huge number, and they also have various devices like web servers, routers, switches, and Windows servers, as you can see on the graph. Because of the significant load of simultaneous connections, Bouygues Telecom both appreciates of the performance and the range of protocols supported by SCB. So let's take another look of a slightly different use case of RQ. This is a small US-based computer security audit services provider. So the case was actually their examiners have routinely broad access to client systems, and they needed a solution to eliminate these customers' data security concerns. So they needed to observe examiners' working session in progress, and from a technical perspective, they needed to record remote SSH and HTTPS sessions. So what was the solution? It was the fast deployment of a privileged activity monitoring appliance. The deployment was indeed very speedy, so it took only like 3 days of modifying firewall rules and another 5 days of learning and setting up the solution. And finally, here's what their infrastructure looks like. So examiners can only access the client systems through SCB, which sits in between them and records all actions of these examiners. Last but not least, let's take a look of a large Russian bank, Tinkoff Bank. So what was their case? Actually, in the past, this bank faced several security incidents and human errors caused by administrators. So they realized that they need to enhance the data security level in the company because the troubleshooting and forensics costs were really high. In addition, they also had PCI DSS compliance obligation. So the solution was for them to control administrative access with SCB. So now all actions of system administrators are recorded together with all outsourced system administrator actions which are controlled and recorded. These banks actually operate hundreds of high-risk IT systems managed by 200 internal and outsourced administrators. And in addition, remote access can now only be provided via secure channel. So basically that was our examples. If you are interested in knowing more or learning more about the solution or have some technical questions, feel free to go and chat with our colleagues. And otherwise, thank you very much for the attention and thanks for coming. Enjoy the rest of your day.